And especially when like taper season comes around,
Oh.
everyone gets so excited and like they're hyping up. They start like even hyping up like our gear for NCs, and we're just like, like just like such a big like culture, and like the whole team gets in on it. That you can't not think that good things are coming, right?
All right, everyone. Welcome to Social Kick. We want to thank everyone for joining and watching and tuning in here. We're excited that we have Kelly Pash, Texas Longhorn superstar, on the show here today. How you doing, Kelly?
I'm great. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Well, first, we want to start with some fun audience questions here. So Will Davis USMS on Instagram asked, what is your favorite karaoke song?
Ooh, okay. Definitely it's going to depend on my mood, but I'm probably going to go like something easy, something that'll get like the crowd going, like Dancing Queen. That's what I think my go-to would be.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
All right. Next, Jesse Crater on Instagram wants to know, what do you eat before swim practice?
Oh my.
Ooh.
It depends on the day. Obviously, I'm not eating like the same thing, but it's usually like pretty simple. Like I'll eat like a sandwich, like a turkey sandwich, or like chicken and like rice and vegetables. I don't know. Very, very plain. I'm like kind of picky.
Midwestern right there, if you ask me, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, for someone as versatile as you are, Sethi Boyom9 wants to know, what is your favorite race? And you can specify yards, short course meters. Let's really pick one race.
She has no idea.
But you got to pick one.
Okay.
Or it's 200 breast, long course. We're going to pick that for you if you don't decide.
Maybe I really love the 2 free short course. I really do. And if I was going to pick long course, I'd pick the 100 fly.
Nice.
Yeah.
She's a World Cup champion in short course meters. You should say short course meters. There you go.
Yeah, that was one and done though. But yeah, I could see that. That's my favorite. I did.
Should NCs go back to short course meters every Olympic year? Would you like to have a short course meters NCAAs this year?
No.
Okay. Shut down.
No.
All right. Someone, Erica.Sully, wants to know, who's the best roommate in the whole wide world?
Erica! It's you. You're the best.
Is she your only roommate?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. By default as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you may be familiar with this Instagram handle. Arena USA wants to know, do you have any swim meet superstitions?
Oh my gosh. I actually talk about this with Erica all the time. And no, I don't. And I love that I don't, because I think I'd really get in my head if I did.
Makes sense.
Sometimes, I always have to have like my nails painted, but that's just like upkeep. Like that's like to make myself look good.
There you go. And there's like different levels, right? There's like a couple days or like the week of the swim meet. Then there's like 1 minute before your race superstition where you're like spitting in your hands and wiping your goggles or stuff like that, right?
No, I don't do any of that.
Luke, what was yours? You've had to have something. It was like 1980. So what did you had your boom box on deck.
I have no idea. I had to like get in the zone. It's like, don't disturb me. I'm 5 minutes out. Like I am in the zone. And it was the stupidest thing because I got myself so worked up. Like just chill. But yeah, it was stupid.
Well, although we just talked about arena, I was a Speedo Sprint goggle wearer, and I would be the guy smashing his foam goggles on his eyes about 1,000 times behind the block to make sure you had that like perfect suction noise that occurred.
No, I get that. I feel like I'm always like tightening my goggles, making sure they're not going to fall off. That's like a big fear of mine before I race, is that my goggles are going to leak.
Well, what is your favorite arena product now that we're talking about goggles and things like that? That's another question they submitted. I mean, I don't know why they would want to know this.
My favorite arena product is their like thick strap suit. I feel like those have made a comeback, and my entire team loves them. Or just like, I love their fins too. I really like those. Just like anything.
Help us guys understand why a thick strap is better. Is this more comfortable? Is that purely what is better about it? Or is it a style thing?
Yeah.
A little bit of both?
I think it's style. Like it's not like the like old time thick strap. It's more of like the European like styled thick strap ones. I don't know. I feel like they just started like bringing those into the US. And yeah, they have some fun colors and I really like them.
All right. Well,
when I was swimming back in the 90s, arena was the suit of choice for we liked, because in North America it was Speedo. That was everybody wore. But you wore an arena suit, Popov had. Those are those nicely cut for men's suits. So we like those. Yeah. Those too, the European stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like them.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for submitting audience questions once again on Instagram at Social Kick Swim. But now we're gonna dive a little deeper into your past. So I have family now that lives in Carmel, Indiana. I actually have a sister that lives in West Clay, and my mom lives pretty close to downtown. So I'm up to speed on Carmel, Indiana, where I believe you grew up. At least you were there for high school. For Carmel, for those that don't know, it's a very good swimming environment, very good club team, one of the best in the nation. But if you don't know, they are working on their second 50-meter long course pool. So talk us through maybe, I don't know, what it was like swimming for that environment growing up. And I don't know, what's the view of Carmel swimming outside of the Indiana world?
Yeah. So I've lived in Carmel my entire life. I have 2 older sisters. So I watched them go through like the whole Carmel swimming, Carmel high school experience. So I just knew like immediately that I was going to do whatever they did. Right. So I didn't know like anything other than Carmel swimming or like Carmel high school. And I didn't know that other high schools didn't have 5,000 plus kids. Right.
Yeah.
So, right. And like going to all the meets growing up, we'd pretty much dominate like all of them. And I was just like, oh yeah, we're Carmel, like we're going to win. But really it's such a legacy that they have there. And yeah, not a lot of people like Carmel because we're good at a lot of things. Right. So yeah, I don't know, but they have really done some amazing stuff and they're really excelling. So whatever, what they're doing there, it's working.
It's interesting to find out what's working, because Santa Clara Swim Club, Santa Clara High School in the 1960s. Santa Clara High School was like the Carmel of now in the 1960s. And their swimming pool and their champions that they produced was unbelievable back in the 60s and 70s. Don Scholander, Mark Spitz, Gary Hall, these people. But now Santa Clara has now closed their pool down. The pool is condemned. It's really sad and unfortunate what happens there, 40 years later. Whereas Carmel is building their second long course pool. They have produced Kibler, Bilquist, Young Shackles. They produce somebody called Kelly Pash. And going back over the decades, what do you think's working? What's the culture at Carmel? What's the work ethic like? What's the family orientation built into the high school? Let's talk a bit more about Carmel Swim Club. Let us know.
Yeah. In general, the club is just like so tight knit. Like we have now, there's people that come in like from other towns to train, like states, right? Now it's so intense. And I even remember when I was in high school that we had people coming from like the different clubs around town to come swim with us. And I think a lot of it is like the coaches. They're so great and they spend a lot of time at the pool and like just like with the swimmers, and also just the culture in general. Like in high school, you're not so separated with like different training groups, different coaches. Like you have one coach and you're going to do everything with them. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is just like you spend like time with all those people. Like you grow up with them and you have them like for like, I was swimming with the same people for like over 10 years. So just like having those people by your side the entire time, and, you grow up together, you go to high school together.
Yeah.
You're experiencing all those new things together. And I just really think it's the culture that they have, and they spend a lot of time working on it. So.
Yeah, you mentioned the coaches. I mean, Chris Plum's doing a great job out. He used to write for my website, Swimming Science, way back when. So he's, like he said, very dedicated to the sport. I swim at Purdue, so I got to give a shout out to Chris Pfaff, who's there now, John Ranachek, a bunch of great Purdue swimmers there are helping build that culture and build up that community. Like you mentioned, now you have swimmers from outside. I think Kyla Hahn is the most notable recent swimmer that's, moved out there. I think she's 14 years old, 14, 15-year-old out there. Luke mentioned some other great swimmers that are formerly there and currently there. What's it like when you come back now? Maybe, I'm sure you don't come back for that much, but maybe around the holidays and you're like, oh, Geez, I've got the Shackles here. I got Kyla Hahn. I have obviously these great high school swimmers. What's that environment like? Because I know when I came back as a college swimmer back for club, it was pretty chill. But I could see a different environment in Carmel.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's crazy now because like when I was in high school, I'd watch the college kids come back and just like float around and talk.
Yep.
They're not doing anything. And I was like, I can't wait for that to be me. And I'm not going to lie. Like there were some days that was me because I get so excited and I want to catch up with everyone.
Sure.
And, but no, they were working us over Christmas break and, and we don't really get to swim with the high schoolers because like the Indiana swimming rules or whatever it is. I don't know exactly. But man, the other college kids are still like so into it too. So like there's no messing around. I remember they have like those swim bridge buoys now at Carmel.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know what those are. And they put them at 12.5 yards. And we were doing like 12.75s kick. And I was like, I looked at this college swimmer next to me, and it was Chris Plum's son. And I was like, are we gonna keep those there? Like, that's really far for me. I don't do that. I don't know. I don't do that. And he literally looked at me. He's like, well, do you want to get better today? And I was like, yes, I'm in. You go. I was like, okay, he's holding me accountable. This is exactly what Carmel was all about.
Wow.
I'm back. I was just like, okay, I'm in it. Let's do it.
The buoys at 12.5. They want you to kick out the 12.5 off at every turn. Was that it?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I saw that down at Sarasota swim club with Brent RP, and they do the same thing too. And I was like, yeah, no. Like, how is that possible?
I know.
Yeah, looks from the non-dolphin kick era though. You know, it was like belly smack and surface as soon as possible, right?
At least I didn't dive like this though.
There you go.
No, we've had a couple of Texas swimmers on, and they've come from different backgrounds before they went to Texas. So Erica, your roommate, the background she came out in Nevada to Texas. And then we had Lydia on recently, and her background is in Seward, I can't pronounce it, Seward, Alaska. And both of them describe very different backgrounds, training program-wise, but how easy it was to adapt and fit into Texas, how Texas was such a welcoming, beautiful place to adapt the program. What was it like for you from the swim program background at Carmel, going now to Carol's program and Mitch's program and working with that program and environment there?
Yeah, I think that in high school, Chris Plum especially does like a really great job preparing you for just like about anything. Like they're really good about putting you in situations there where like you have to adapt. So I think going to college was kind of a breeze, and I was just super excited to like go so far away from home and just something new because growing up like in Carmel, I was swimming for like 16 years. That's not true. Like, maybe like 14. And I was just like, I was ready. So I think that also played a role in it, and knowing that there was like Carmel swimmers at Texas, like having Claire Adams be there as a senior when I was a freshman, like, and now I'm a senior and Barrett Berglund's here as a freshman. I mean, I think it definitely helps, and it kind of gives you like that sense of like home so far away. So I don't know, but we call ourselves like a bunch of misfits here at Texas. So I think just having ourselves, like we just have each other, and we just have like so much fun together at practice.
Yeah.
So it really made the transition super easy. And, I didn't have Mitch all 5 years here. So that was also something like when Mitch came, that was a change. Like his practices were a lot different than what I was used to. And there's kind of a shift in culture and practices at Texas that I had to get used to. And it was a lot more intense than I was used to. So that was big. That was really big when he came. It's exciting.
A quick follow-up on that. I remember seeing a picture of a video of you dancing at the blocks, and it pans over and Mitch is dancing next to you. I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. So
Yeah. Yeah, that was at NCAAs last year, and not a lot of people like. I think that video kind of popped off, but that meet was really tough for me. Really tough. So.
Well, why was that? What was so tough about that meet? Obviously, we see the dancing, we see the, having a good time. You have two of your other teammates in the 200 fly final. The overall team is doing well. What was so challenging about that meet for you?
I think I just wasn't like hitting personal goals that I thought I would. And it's as simple as that. Like I was just really in my head, just like confused, and I was hard to stick to like the whole process and like trust myself because you're not seeing the results you want. And it's just like, this is the biggest meet of the year. Like, what is going on? Like throughout the season, I looked like it was on track to do what I wanted to do. And then when it doesn't go your way, it's daunting. But that video was like funny because it looks like I'm having such a great time. And I really was, because I was like trying to stick to the things I knew, like made me like happy and what was going to like help my meet. Yeah. And they just happened to capture it on film.
I captured it too.
It was fun. Like I knew like being there with Mitch would really help me, and like, and we always have a good time. And I knew that would really help my meet right there,
Yeah, that's interesting to say that, because obviously, anyone watching, they see certain athletes that have, bigger personalities, and it's like, oh, they're always in a good mood. Everything's always going right. And then you see the Texas team, and I think the Texas team had an overall good meet. The placing wise, I would assume it was a good result for you. Obviously, UVA won, but hey, I mean, like I said, still a great overall result. So do you think that's like covering up? Maybe, like you said, when you're not doing well, is that a way to kind of cover up how it's going? Or do you, like you said, you want to try to get into some of those activities that okay, this is what usually puts me in a good mood. I like to be in a good mood when I'm swimming. And what was your kind of mindset behind that?
Yeah, well, I had no idea that they were going to post that. But I don't think it was a cover up. I genuinely think that no one knew that I was down. Like nobody knew, because I think I did a good job hiding it, because I didn't want it to affect my teammates.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to be that one that goes over to the bench and is like upset, because one person can ruin everything. And we need the morale to be high. And there were so many good swims that meet that I was just like, just go back, cheer. Like, we're going to get the team going. Like, it's okay. You just try to like stick to your part. But I think just going back to like what I know was going to put me in a good mood and keep me loose. I didn't want to like be in my head about stuff and like think. So when that DJ was there, I was like, this is perfect. Like, this is so me. I was really vibing with the DJ, and I was like, this guy's really going to get me through it.
No, I agree. The DJ was sick. So every hardship makes you stronger, right? And what I say about the sword and what you learn from it. You have a 5th year. Awesome. Can't wait. It's also Olympic year. It's crazy. It's in your hometown. What are you picking up from that experience last year? Have you and your roommate, for instance, talked about it? And what have you guys been doing different in training, your environment? Sometimes it's like my Niners last night. We just had a bad game, and you were ready. You did everything you could. There's nothing you can just do. You just had a bad game. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's something more fundamental and deeper than that in our sport. Have you made any changes with your coaches or stuff ready for this really big year ahead, your 5th year and your trials year at home?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has just been like mindset. And honestly, because it's my last year, I've just kind of been like, I'm going all in. And like, I think a lot of it comes from my training, like confidence. And because I need to have good training blocks, but I can't train for too long where like I don't know what it feels like to race, like, because I love racing. So I think it's been like talking with my coaches about a good balance of like training and then going to compete and like learning from the competition in my races, and then applying that to practices and like keep it going. And just knowing that I'm all in right now, because I only have so many months left with the sport. We'll see. And yeah, we had like some of the hardest winter training I've ever experienced in my life. So I was like, that's good. That's good. It'll be good for me.
All right, well, let's hear it. Let's flex a little. What was the hardest set or hardest thing that comes to mind from winter training?
Oh my gosh. I did a pretty hard set at Carmel actually. And that was like freestyle, just like long course. And they threw me in there. But at Texas, that one just blew me away at Carmel just because, everyone around. But at Texas, we just were like we swam like mornings on Sundays and doubles on Saturdays. And I don't know, that really got me. And just not having like a morning off for like the longest time ever, or even like a day off, that got me. We did some really hard freestyle and butterfly sets during that time. None that I can like name specifically because honestly, I tried to like put that like once winter training was over, I was like, that's done. Yeah. Oh, we did this one set. I will say we did this. We do Fast Fridays. So we're suiting up, and we did like 5 100s free or like stroke or choice off the block, and then we started with 2 150s off the block, then 5 100s, and then 4 50s all out off the block. And it doesn't sound like a lot of work, but when you put into perspective that it's a Friday, it's the end of the week, and you're on this tight interval and you have to climb in and out of the pool every time and like get out of the bulkhead. I think that was the hard part. Just like, and then you probably got like, you were trying to like warm down between. So like you do a 50 and then you'd get out and get up. And I was like, this is a different type of pain. It was really hard. But yeah, that one really stood out to me and my teammates as well. But
2 things for swimmers. We know the feel when you come out the water and you have to get up on the block and your legs are shaking and you can't get your balance on the block and you got to get down. Like, I'm going to fall off this block for let's swim again. Like, I can't do this.
It's so true. Yeah.
But Kelly, we've asked lots of swimmers about their hardest set. I mean, we've asked Charlie Clark. We've asked just now Jack Alexi, Minikoff. None of them, John, have leaned in and talked about the haunting feeling, deep soul issue they've had. You just leaned in and like, guys, this thing rocked my soul.
Yeah.
What did you do? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. I want to talk about your racing though. I love the fact that you like to race. I mean, and obviously your 200 fly training group is insane at Texas, right? With Emma and Dakota and Olivia, all these people. And what you're doing there, I bet you guys race practices, and I bet and like, for instance, what Emma did against Alex in that 200 foot final. Well, how inspirational was that in the racing, right? What is it about racing? And just yesterday we did a video on the world champion and the NCAA champion racing 200 backstroke at Cal ASU. And, the two of them just raced for what it was like. And that's what it was like. And I saw on your wonderful podcast with Erica, you guys talk about, I wish we had a really good rival in swimming we can race against. I wish we could race OU, and we hate and race them. Talk a bit more about that. Swimming to me was about racing. I love to race John. I love to take him down and take him out, and that makes me better. We don't go fast, at least John doesn't. But talk about that whole idea of racing. What do you love about it? Who do you love to race against? What kind of meets do you like? Do you like a backyard duel? Just you and Erica go 25 breaststroke. Talk about that whole idea of racing.
Oh my God, I'd love to race Erica. Actually, I don't think I'd want to race Erica, but I just want to watch Erica do a 25.
Me too. That's why I mentioned it.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah. There's just always been, I think I've just always been super competitive.
Yeah.
And there's just something about when I race, my mind just like completely just like lets go of like everything, and I just go for it. And I've always really leaned into that, and I think that's like a really big like advantage that I have against like others, because I'm not like overthinking stuff when I'm racing. But I love a little like end of practice maybe, or like a get out swim.
Yeah.
I love dual meets. From the moment I came to Texas in my freshman year, I was like, dual meets are my thing. Like I loved them. I also I think the older I've gotten, it's like I do really love like the Tier Pro series because I love to race against the older swimmers, and like the pros and just like see what kind of happens. Like, it's just fun. Yeah.
Right.
You mentioned dual mates. Now, last year, the Texas NC State dual mate got a lot of buzz because there was a lot of excitement. There was music. They removed certain events to really kind of streamline it. I think there was maybe even alcohol sales there, if I recall correctly.
You got to bring in the people. Like,
exactly. Hey, I'm ready for betting on something. That'd get me going, or a little more streamlined fantasy swimming. Luke knows I'd be all behind that. My spreadsheet would be pretty knee deep. But talk about what other things you think college teams could do for dual meets to make them more exciting, more engaging, and all that for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Texas has done, what we kind of started, I think a lot of other collegiate teams have done it, like just hyping it up and like getting people all around campus to come in has been like a really big thing, like packing the stands. I know we saw it at UVA when we went there like 2 years ago when they brought in their band, when they were dropping their banner with us. And it's just like, it is a power move on the home team when they do that, right? It's like, oh my God. I gotta listen to the fight song this entire time. Like I was like, oh my God. and just like seeing their cheerleaders there. But then it's like when you're like, yeah, Texas is gonna do it, like, hey, yeah, we're doing that. Like it's just a different vibe. And just seeing how like the sport of swimming has really grown with the dual meets has been so cool. When we had like over thousands of people at our meet that one time, I don't know. It was either Virginia or NC State. I think I don't know, NC State maybe. And how we had like the lights going and we did like walkout songs. You got to choose your walkout song. And the people even like announcing the lane numbers, I think is just such a big deal. Just because like you don't see that a lot. So it makes it special. It makes it more exciting.
You guys bleed Longhorn. Every tattoo is the Longhorns on. You wear your hats when you don't have to wear your cowboy hats. You literally bleed it. So I never, but I didn't do that. So I didn't quite understand the gravity of how disrespectful the upside down horns can be for you.
Yeah.
And it's been quite controversial recently, right, with basketball coach and game. But that really hurts, man. If somebody does that against you, that's like a middle finger, isn't it? And those sort of things.
Yeah, I like really, I'm like get really mad when I see that.
Wow.
I take offense. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, like you said, wish you had more of a swimming rival. Now moving to the SEC, and obviously your career, I think, will be over. I can't keep track of anyone's eligibility anymore. Maybe you'll be swimming for 9 years in college, like I think some football players got his 9th year of eligibility approved. But do you see that transitioning at all with the SEC, and obviously that being maybe a little larger and a little more historically strong swimming conference?
I do. And honestly, I just got to say it. Like, I feel like Virginia is our biggest rival. Like, yeah. I mean, like if you're looking at who's ahead of you, like why wouldn't they not be a rival, right? So I think as like whoever the top teams are, you're always going to be like a little, I'm trying to beat them. Like there's always naturally that rivalry that you feel, but we'll see if something comes about in the SEC. I don't know. That's something that the girls are going to have to figure out and take upon themselves. But I'm excited for them. And I think that's going to be a big shift for Texas swimming.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw a little shade. I mean, people might say you might have to beat the other team for it to be a rivalry. So what's it going to take for Texas to beat UVA in swimming? Hey,
I mean, I just love a team that always chases, right? I love an underdog. Mm-hmm. That's all I got to say. I think, working hard. We're pretty quiet. I feel like we're pretty quiet over here.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think it's gonna take obviously a lot. It's gonna be hard. It really is. But in my opinion, like our team is just something so special, and like I wouldn't want to be a part of anything else. I already feel like I've won like my college experience. So, but I'm chasing an NCAA title, and who isn't, right? I'm just excited for us. So, we'll see what happens.
It's such a hallmark of Texas swimming. Always quiet in season. Always like swimming tired. Not all of a sudden on day one, like, oh my God, where did that come from? Where were they all year round? It's unbelievable. I can't imagine like swimming tired and doing times that are 5 seconds slower. But what that does for you, like, how do you feel when you touch the wall? You see like a 220, 200 fly or something. You're like, what? But you just know what's going to pay off, and that mindset and that belief you have to have in your training and where you are and where you're going and your end goals. Talk a bit about that, how the team gets together after you get destroyed by a team you should beat, and then you come back and you just destroy them in a day. Talk about that whole dichotomy. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's it's hard in season. You always have to like put in perspective that like you aren't tapered for certain meets, and just kind of put in perspective that any race is just an opportunity to learn for like the end of the season instead of like trying to get a best time every single time. And it's definitely can be like really challenging, especially like when I just went to that tier pro meet after the huge block of winter training. Yeah. And I was like, I hadn't even swam like a leg of long course meters. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, what? And I swam and I was like, was that even good? Like, I was having fun, but like, was that a good time? And I was like, it doesn't matter right now. Like, my time for long course will come later. And I just think it's all about the perspective and knowing and not getting like in your head about things and like leaning into your teammates about it, because if they do have a good swim, that's awesome. Like, keep going. But like, if you're having a race and you don't go best time in season at dual meet, it's just like, well, did you learn something? Like, are you going to take something with you later on? Did you have fun? Like, are you enjoying the moment with your team? I think that's what it's all about.
Also, swimmers know that, especially after winter training and you race. I remember swimming at 200 free and I touched the wall. I was like, wait, I went all out, but I didn't get tired. It wasn't fast. But if that time is how I felt, I can't wait until I'm rested. Because like you finish those last 20 and you're like, oh, I'm not hurting as I normally do. That training is paying off. I can't wait to rest. You know it, right?
Yeah. And especially when like taper season comes around, everyone gets so excited and like they're hyping up. They start like even hyping up like our gear for NCs, and we're just like just like such a big like culture, and like the whole team gets in on it. That you can't not think that good things are coming, right?
Dreamer. Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna now we're gonna get into some quick hits for women's NCAA. So we have women's NCAAs and Athens, Georgia at UGA, March 20th through 23rd. So let's do some quick hits for it, okay?
Okay. I don't even know what that means, but okay.
All good. Just short questions. Will there be a DJ at women's NCAAs? Yes. Okay. What time wins the 50-yard free at women's NCAAs?
I think
we just saw 20.19. We just saw 20.19 relay split in a practice suit. So
yeah, but I just think it's gonna be like a 20.01 or 20.0.
What?
Which team gets third at women's NCAAs?
Who's ranked third right now? I don't even know. I don't even know. Like, I don't know. I'm not focused on other people. Let's see. I'm thinking maybe Florida.
Yeah, I thought so.
Should men's and women's NCAAs be combined?
No.
Should diving be excluded from swimming and diving scoring?
No.
How many events could you qualify for NCAAs in if you swim them all tapered?
how many events could I personally?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'd hope over 6.
Should they change the name of NCAAs to World Swimming Championships for 22 and unders?
No. It's not the world.
Last question. All right. Serious now.
Or is that actually is that like out there?
It was a question by a very famous swimmer who won the 100 fly in season 2022, Minikov. He actually asked the press at the press conference, guys, I got a question for you. And he asked us that question.
Oh my gosh.
It was awesome.
Would you rather have 50s of strokes added to NCAAs or 100 relays, like the 100 free relay?
100 free relay.
Sick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you survived the quick questions of NCAAs. Good job here.
Thanks.
Luke, what do you have next here?
I want to go into trials. I want to go into the Olympic year. I want to go into the swimming at home pool. First of all, I'm not I don't see how Lucas Oil Stadium is going to be a good environment for swimming. It's being at end season, being on pool deck right next to the water, that made it really thrilling. I can't imagine being 12 miles away in the stands. Like, what do you, as an audience member? I mean, obviously for you, you're gonna have family and friends come by. It's your home pool. It's at home city. You know the area. But what are you thinking about actually swimming in that environment, and how are you preparing to swimming in that stadium? Because every stadium environment you have to prepare for. What are you preparing for to swim there?
Like, how am I preparing? Or
yeah, just to be in this big stadium, this big arena with all of this jazz. And the trials itself brings so much to the table, far as what they're doing now. Or how are you preparing for that at all?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely using my past experience at trials to help me prepare. I do think that there could potentially be a lot of distractions having it be in Indianapolis with my family. I was like, guys, I'm not gonna be able to see you this week. I already talked to them. I was like preparing. I was like, I'm not coming home. I'm here to swim. And I think it's gonna be very different. It's the first time it's obviously been in like an NFL stadium. Yeah. I don't even know how that's gonna work, honestly. I'm just like, I just know what Omaha was like, and you don't really see people in the stands. It's just the pool. So I'm very interested to see what that's going to be like and how it all plays out. And even if like Indiana can get people to go to that event, because it's a huge attraction. I know they're really trying to like sell it to everyone in Indiana. And I was like working with someone trying to like hype it up. I was like, how can you hype up swimming trials? Like, not many people even really know what it is. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do and the crowd that it'll draw in, if it's more than just swimming fans and like parents.
Hey, Indiana is swimming. Isn't that the tagline?
I think there's going to be a lot of like club swimmers there. I could see that. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Carmel. We know Carmel might have a big representation there and a very big, like I said, big school, big city. So I think it will feel well and it should be pretty fun, but similar to Omaha, I would imagine, for the swimmer side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have to make an effort. I remember being in Knoxville and there were a couple little banners outside the pool that said, "Oh, women's NCAAs Division 1s are inside this building." No, it should be like the world's greatest athletes are competing here. The U.S. has a chance to win the most amount of gold medals because of these athletes in here. It should be all over Knoxville. It was a tiny little banner. It was nothing. Yeah. And I really hope they do a better job of that. I want to go back to way, way back, 2000 Olympic Games. So I went to see my brother swim there. And at the time, the Sydney Olympic Games, Australia is swimming, to what you're saying. You go in Australia and there are massive skyscrapers with swimming posters on it. That's how you advertise swimming, right, in Australia. And in Australia, they had 20,000 spectators watch the Olympic Games. It was the first time we had 20,000 people watch a swim meet. And I remember my brother swimming there, and I went to watch him swim, and I'm way up in the stands, and I could hardly see him. And he had been to 3 world championships. He had done all the big meets. And he says he got on the blocks and he raced the 200 freestyle. And it was only halfway through 200 free, he remembered, oh my God, I have to race. He was so overwhelmed by the environment and the crowds and the people and the cheering. He hadn't prepared for that, even though he had been to Worlds in Perth and he'd been to Worlds not before. And I never forget that really messed with his head. So that's why I asked you that question about preparing for that environment. I'm glad how you're tuning out and just being ready for it, because a lot of people, they swim their first Olympics and it beats them. The Olympics beats them, the first Olympics. They need to go to a second one to remember it. You said that you're trying to learn from your prior experiences at trials. What are you learning from? How are you bringing your game up? How are you getting under 2084 and becoming top 2? What are you doing?
Yeah, I think, my first trials in Omaha, the last trials, I was just like having so much fun. I was making finals I didn't even know I could make. And I remember Smith scratched the 100 fly and I made it in number 8. And I remember being in that ready room and I was just like, you guys ready? And I was like, looking back, that was so bold. I was like, what was I trying to do? I was like, I'm not supposed to be in this league. I'm having so much fun. Yeah. But
nothing to lose.
Right. And I just remember I was so in awe about all the little areas that they had for the swimmers, and whether it was they had these video messages that people could send in, and I loved that. Or when you walked out and they had your picture and you could do a fun move, right? I think this time, now that I know that I get to do all this fun stuff, I won't be I can just focus and I do think that the sense of me being lighthearted and having fun in that race helped me. But this time I can just do what I'm gonna do, what I'm supposed to do, and not be so starstruck by everything.
Yeah. But it's also the fine line of also remembering why we do this. Remembering why we love swimming in summer league, and and getting that block. So it's a fine line between the two of yes, oh my God, what happens in the next 2 minutes can chart the rest of my life. Oh my God. Same time, I'm about to have the funnest environment of what I'm doing here. This is so much fun. Oh my God, I can't wait to race this final in this environment. It's hard, right? As swimmers.
Yeah, it's really hard. And it's hard being in the ready room when some people are so focused and they won't even look at you. And then you're either your legs are shaking, you're just looking around for someone to look at you back, right?
Yeah.
Or you're doing something weird like me. It's really hard. It's really hard to stay in your own zone, and especially in just such a big environment. You just got to remember what you do.
Yeah. So what would you do? Say you're in a ready room of a bunch of Phelps faces. Everyone else is there stone-faced, not chatting at all. What do you do in that type of environment, maybe to keep yourself loose? Because it sounds like you're kind of chatty with people usually, but if everyone's stone cold in their own zone, what do you do then?
I am chatty. I feel I'm always trying to crack a joke in there. Let's keep it loose. Because the minute that I'm free, that I'm looking around and other people are so serious, I'm oh God, I'm freaking out too. I'm I can't let that get to me. I usually just look for a friend. I feel I know so many people that I race against now, and being able to have my teammates in these heats with me, whether it's at NCs or even at trials, I was with some of my teammates, that makes such a difference, because I trained with them, I got here with them, and now I get to race with them. It's what I do all the time. So that helps tremendously.
How do you go ahead, John? Sorry.
I was just going to say, so we've talked a lot about, the psychology or kind of the mental side of things behind, the blocks and at a meet. How about warming up at a meet when there's a different, magnitude behind it? Do you do any specific things in the water just to kind of keep you grounded, or do you have specific drills that you like to do to be okay, this is kind of just my routine to ground myself, even when the environment or the meet is a bigger stage?
I think my meet warm up, it's been consistent since I was 16 years old. So actually having that consistency helps me, because I know that doing the same thing that I do when I get my best times, right?
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, I didn't go best time because my warm up wasn't the same. I think that consistency helps me. And like staying, like, don't look at what other people are doing. Like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
So I like look at people and like, well, why are they doing that? No, don't do that. No, don't. And just like having your teammates and your coaches like there, and you know, you get in, you get out. I'm not trying to do anything funky. Yeah, I think that keeps me grounded, is just doing what I do and not changing it up.
What happens when what you do suddenly gets thrown a loophole? So a couple of stories, like Brian Lundquist, he was our colleague. He was at the finals of the 50 free of trials, and he's coming out the ready room, and he steps on Gary Hall's cape. And almost trips Gary Hall walking to the blocks, and that threw Brian off and stuff. Or Jack Alexi, the semis of worlds, he has a freak dive problem, and he still manages to recover. Both of them manage to recover from that. You know, what happens if, like, it's so, to me as a swimmer, it would throw me off so much. But how does one then just like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. Your goggles are filled, or your suit broke back in my era when suits used to bust open, right? You know, like it's okay. You can handle that. A lot of swimmers can't do that. But you're experienced. You're fifth year. You've raced it. You've done that. What are you doing to keep yourself like, it's okay. Don't worry. Let's do it. We're ready.
Yeah, I can think back on some times where I almost like even missed a race or something, like at a dual meet.
Yeah.
But I feel like I use that adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, because when something goes wrong, you're so focused on that thing in the moment. And honestly, it can kind of help your race because you're not thinking about anything specific that you're supposed to be doing that race. You're just like, you're worried that your goggles, but you can't see, and you're honestly just trying to get to the wall, right?
Yeah.
So I think the adrenaline, and it just like kind of clears your mind. I mean, it can obviously go the other way as well, where you're like, dang, like my goggles are filled. This is horrible.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right. Just I don't know. You got to like be able to like adapt to things. I think that's like the biggest thing out there is like they always preach like something's not going to go your way. They always tell us that.
Yeah.
And you don't go looking for it, right?
Right.
But if it happens, it happens, and it's like, okay, that was it. It's okay. Like, let's go.
Like, don't recreate those circumstances, because I think that's traumatic in training. That don't go and step and break my goggles right before I'm about to push off the wall, or don't empty my water bottle when I go to drink. Like, don't recreate those things for me. But there's a way to prepare for it visually and ground yourself, I think. But
I think definitely.
All right, John's got a fun segment for you right now.
All right, so we're just going to finish with some rapid fire questions here. All right, Kelly?
Okay.
All right. What's the hardest race in swimming?
Twin or backstroke?
Morning practice or afternoon practice?
No,
Pause for effect failed.
No, afternoon. I am not a morning person, and I'm not a morning person.
Indoor or outdoor pool?
Outdoor.
Kick set or pool set?
Kick.
Olympic gold or world record?
Oh my God. I think the Olympic gold, because the medal, man, I'd want that. I want to hold on.
Yeah.
Do you always touch the wall with two hands on breast and fly turns?
Yes.
Is it okay to wear clear goggles?
No.
Oh, Phoebe.
Don't do it. At least get a little mirror in there. No, don't do clear.
Yeah. We don't want to see your eyes like.
No. And then the worst is when you can see that they're fogged up. I'm like, I know I know you're not having a good time in there.
When you retire, do you think you'll swim still or quit forever?
I think there's a little bit in the middle, because I love the water, but I don't think I push myself as hard as I do. I think I'd quit for a little bit.
Yeah. Do you pee in the pool?
Yes.
Swimming or dancing?
Swimming.
What year will the women's 200 long course butterfly world record be broken?
I don't even know what it is.
201. 201.
I want to say, what is the fastest time right now? Like a 203? 202?
Yeah, I believe that's.
Yeah.
I think it's 203. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna say within the next 3 years.
Ooh, nice. All right, last one. How often do you do social kick?
Every day.
Of course.
All right, Kelly, you nailed them all. Great job here, and thank you very much for coming on the show, Kelly.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was a blast.
That was so much fun.
All right, everyone. Kelly, we wish you the best of luck going into the rest of NCAAs and trials. And everyone, thank you for listening to this episode of Social Kick. Once again, you can find us at Social Kick Swim, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, guys.
See ya.
Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it, and be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick, and you can find all of our content on our website,